And we are back. Welcome to the Smart to Noise Ratio Pro Audio Podcast. This is episode number 44, if you're counting. I'm your humble host, John Dayton. Joining me tonight, as always, Anthony Kosobucki.
Hey there.
Trying to figure out why the theme music is still running. There it goes. Okay. I have to fix that in post. Started from the wrong point. Anyway.
Fix it? No.
Smack, Robin. All right, yeah. First of all, I'd like to just go ahead and plug a couple new subreddits. As you know, we're big fans of on reddit.com, r/livesound and r/audio engineering, two of the finest, most genteel forums for audio information anywhere out there. Nothing against Gear Sluts, nothing against
not at all.
Pro Sound Web.
I solve a lot of problems on Gear Sluts.
Sure do. But yeah, Reddit's the spot. There's a lot of noobs on there asking questions, but even us salty old dogs learn a few tricks, answering those and seeing the other answers. There's a new feature on both of those that's every week there's a new There Are No Stupid Questions thread where you can, if you're a little nervous about maybe starting up your own post, you can just throw something in there as a comment, get some quick answers to your questions. Those have both been real successful for about, I don't know, over a month now. And anyway, there's a couple of fellas just started up new subs, as they're called, new forums. One is r/audio memes, which in an effort to keep those two forums sort of clean of nonsense, memes aren't allowed, even though the one or two did slip in there once in a while, which is I think why they finally did it. It's if there was a good one came through, they kind of let it ride, but they didn't want it to get taken over. So somebody started a subreddit just for audio memes. There's a few dozen in there already. So that's, if you need a little audio funny haha, there's already some very good stuff in there. And then the other one, and this is especially important for guys who are looking for work or looking to get work done, it's sort of frowned upon in nearly every audio or music-related forum to show up and say, hey, this is my song, I need work done on it. Which just boggles my mind. A couple of cats have gotten away with it on audio engineering in the last little bit, and actually, I got the job both times. So sweet for me. But there's a new one called r/post audio, which is different from audio post, which pertains to the post-production audio work on film and video type work. This one's post audio, as in post your audio. So you can jump on there, you can put out a little post advertising your services. If you want to, well, the gig that I took was there's only about 4 posts on there now. So anyway, I'm just trying to drum up a little business, but I posted my services up there, and another guy said he was willing to swap graphic design for mastering work. So Cat from Australia, I started working on his tune. He started working on the logo for the good old SNR site. So
nice. Yeah,
it's been a year with the little quick brainwave logo that I threw together in 10 minutes one day. And
now people are paying attention.
Now people are paying attention. Yeah, so we're gonna spruce things up a little bit, make it a little easier on the eyes. But anyway, that's if you've been frustrated getting online and trying to, 1, get work for yourself, or 2, get your stuff worked on. Reddit's a great forum, and there's a brand new spot that is just for that. And it's a little bit of a ghost town right now, but I think as things pick up, that'll be a nice little spot to get some work done. And maybe for pay, maybe for free, you never know.
There's definitely enough people float around.
Certainly for now. I mean, if you want to really go spend money on mastering, you can just go look up mastering guys' websites. But
if you're broke,
if you're doing down and dirty swap for services, I don't know. There's probably guys out there that swap for porn.
I have a church machine, so I can't really.
Same here. So that would not be us, but we'll.
There are people.
Yeah, and I'm fresh out of audio or of graphic design work that I need done. But we can work something out. And
if somebody can make me a logo, I'll probably get on there pretty soon. Now that I actually have a Reddit account for mixing work
that you can't ever log out of because you forgot the password.
Yeah, I didn't save it in LastPass or anything. I have no idea.
I'm not even sure what the policy. You didn't put your email address in to create your account, did you?
Yep.
Oh, you did? Oh, let's just send it to you.
You did.
I what?
You did it last Saturday.
I didn't do it.
You made my Reddit account for me.
No, I was
here.
I looked up the name. I was here too. I looked up the names that were available, but I didn't create it.
Oh. Well, hopefully.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug, dudes.
Let's not get into that.
No, smart to noise ratio does not advocate the use of.
Got Rick James stories. Rick James used to go to the church that I work at.
Did he really?
Yeah,
I knew his guys were around.
No, his drummer, the drummer that played on Super Freak, was the college and career pastor at my church.
No kidding.
Yeah, no joke. He was a college and career pastor. Jerry Levinson, I believe is his name. The bass player is good friends with my boss. Their musicians are all still around Buffalo, and most of them are all around Buffalo, and they're within 3 or 4 phone calls. I could probably get the entire Super Freak band back together and have them play on my stuff.
Do you have that much mojo?
I find it.
All right. Well, anyway, that's enough plugging to Reddit. Anyway, I just there's a couple of kind of ghost town subreddits going on that might be of interest to you folks, so get in there, check it out. And it's not just for audio work. I mean, if you're looking for musicians to play on your stuff, it's kind of like Indaba music, except I hope it would sort of not suck. I keep getting on there, fishing around for a little work. I'm like, ooh, there's a project I want to work on from 2008. Yeah.
That's one of the rough things about like Gear Sluts and Pro Sound Web is you're looking for updates on posts. Like I was having a rough time today trying to get Waves tuned to work on my projects with Rewire, and it turns out that it just sometimes doesn't. And there's no fix for it. Waves has no fix for it. Propeller has no fix for it. And apparently Waves tune just doesn't work on bass guitar at all. So there's that too. So maybe Reddit can fix that.
I fixed it for you before we got on the air. Pitch bend that sucker up 2 octaves, fix it, and bend it back down. Come on now.
I just retract it. I've got.
There's that too. When you've got mojo in your hand,
I don't have a gear room anymore. I have a children's room. So all my gear is in the living room. So it's pretty close to my home studio,
AKA the coffee table in front of us.
Right. Yeah.
There's actually a fair amount of post work gets done on this right here, this here coffee table right here. All right. Well, as you can hear, I'm stumbling over my words despite being stone cold sober. So we're going to maybe possibly make this another short show.
Yep. And there's no more booze left. Maybe there is.
If I get to rambling, you can go investigate that.
There might be booze left.
I'm not going to have any.
I threw out the ginger brandy finally.
I'm having enough trouble forming sentences. But anyway, we were going to talk about
vocals.
We're going to talk about vocals tonight. Yep. I had an experience here, and I don't know if I don't want to out the guy, but went to work on this tune, and it's really a pretty nice tune. Like, it's pretty well done. Like, I caught the vibe from it right away, and just after a while, the longer I'd been listening to it, and I'm a little bit of an odd duck in that I sort of never hear lyrics. I mean, there are songs that I've loved for 3 decades that I couldn't tell you.
But you could hum that shit like it's no tomorrow.
Well, and I can, I've heard everything in them, like string noise, amp noise. Like, I know every nuance of them. I just don't know the words because I don't hear like that.
That's rough. I was there for a while, and unfortunately, having to tell people what they need to sing, I don't know if it's cheating or not, but definitely printed out lyric sheets to have like, oh yeah, when you sing, hold on, wait, yeah, fill in the blank, yeah, do that when you do this. Yep.
Doggone, I lost my train of thought again. Oh, well, anyway, this one, just like the last mastering project I did, turned into a pretty nice collaboration, and it's dudes on the complete opposite side of the world. Like, I actually had to get on my computer and set up a little world clock to look at. So, like, when I finish up a version and send it off to them, like, flip over the clock.
Like, you didn't hear anything back for 12 hours.
Yeah, it's well, no, it actually works out really good because I work late at night. So, like, I'll send him off something in the middle of the night, and he'll just be getting up. So. By the time I get up in the morning, I've got a response from him. But anyway, about the vocals on this, it was kind of cool, and I hope he doesn't mind me talking about it too much. If he does, this will never see the light of day, or it'll be vastly shorter than it is now. But what he had done is he had triple tracked the vocals, which didn't become fully apparent to me until he sort of pointed that out. But what I was hearing was he had gone for kind of a slapback effect. So the vocals were kind of hard panned out, and there was a little bit different time on both of them. And I was just feeling like, man, the song kind of goes along, and that's sort of the feel of it. It's like it's meant to be sort of monotonous and like caged energy sort of thing, and the vocals were meant to be sort of like weird and like not super weird, not like spacey, but just kind of slightly unnatural. And what I was feeling like would have helped it out was if there had been a center vocal, like if there had been a real present.
Oh, there's nothing. So it was triple tracked, but everything was hard panned out.
Well, there was a center vocal, but like all three of them were kind of balanced, and because of the delay effect, it really felt like the vocals were sort of outside the speakers, which I thought would have been a great effect to like be the start of a chorus. Or do like an alternating thing where like
swing it in.
Yeah, totally not my place as a mastering engineer, but this isn't really a proper project. It's like something some dude made at home, and I'm hearing it, and I want to help him make a better song. So we've been emailing back and forth about it, and just the feeling I was getting like even in the car, like I heard it in cans and I heard it on monitors, and like even in the car, I just felt like he was singing at me from outside the vehicle. And at some points, I just felt like it would have been a lot cooler and a lot tighter if there had been like a real present central vocal, even if there were still vocal effects. So
or even two more towards, not 100% side, maybe 20% out.
Yeah, well, the suggestion I gave to him was, I gave him a couple ideas, was, like, all right, take your center vocal and push that up for the verses, like maybe even do a smash channel on it, because it's pretty dynamic. There's a lot of dynamics in the song, despite being kind of electronic, and I don't know, I'm not familiar with all the different genres and varieties, but it's not a Leonard Skinner type feel. It's sort of electronic and chill.
You better give me back my bullets.
Da-da-da. But so for the center, smash channel, some emphasis, like make it real close feeling, and not completely do away with the delay effect, because I feel like if you alternate too much, you've gone to like, you make it too choppy when the feel of the song is kind of like, pent up in the house while it's raining with lots of energy and wanting to get out is kind of the feel of it. So he'd also at one point done this thing where there's kind of a swimmy, low passed vocal drenched with some band passed reverb that's kind of floating in and out of things. Just as kind of like, it's almost treated like a sample just during the intros and stuff. It's not really saying anything. It's just kind of floating around in there. So I was like, you could do something like that during the verses to have those two outer voices still be there and be present and have that feeling.
But do a little bit more.
Do it a little bit more. Yeah, mute them. Not mute them, but like take them down a little bit in level, take a lot of top off them, put some reverb on there, and take a lot of top and bottom, so you just have sort of a resonant mid floaty feel in there. But then EQ them a little differently and compress them a little differently, so they kind of move around. Yeah, which will get you kind of like that swimmy, chorusy, tremolo-y kind of feel, but without actually like slapping a chorus effect on it, like making it like
have
extra
it breathe
swimmy
a little bit. Yeah.
So it's kind of subtle, and the nice thing is you can control it by how much you push the faders up or how much you compress each side. But that'll do some auto painting, and it works out great for him because he actually tracked the vocal 3 times. It's not like I took it and then I doubled it and then I doubled it again and panned it. Like he actually ran it down 3 times. Right. So that was my suggestion on that, to go with a real present vocal during the verses and then go into the real doubly slappy, sharp sounding kind of spacey sound for maybe not the whole chorus, but the start of the chorus. Like have it be a definite change at that point.
So there's a punch to the beginning of the chorus, and then like after that initial hit, like it sounds a little more like pop music, I guess, but like that the chorus is your hook.
Yeah,
and stuff like
it's a good hook.
Yeah, like me and my wife were listening today. Like we were at the lady doctor's getting our a month checkup on her, see how the baby's doing and stuff, and we were listening to some Katy Perry on the over the air, ceiling stuff. Like I like Katy Perry, I really do. Other than the fact that I think she's smoking hot. But there's certain stuff where we were both like I think the song was Wide Awake, and the verses are really strong. The pre-chorus is really strong, and then the chorus hits, and it's just there's nothing there. Like as much as you want to, not try to stereotype certain stuff, but the chorus is what gets you into a song.
Yeah,
You know,
That's what that's what I remember. Like, I don't know any of the
there.
Yeah, that's what I know about the songs. I know the hook.
Right.
Don't know the verses. Don't know it. Yeah.
Yeah, even go back to Soundgarden stuff. Like, there's stuff, the verses and pre-choruses are killer, but there are certain songs where, you know, the chorus, even if it comes down a bit, like the vocals get big, or there's something that keeps you there. In whatever song we listen to, you lost interest for, 20, 25 seconds. Then you came back in on the verse, and it was right back there. The vocal hook was there, and all that stuff.
Yep. And on this one, like, it's a pretty long song, and it kind of hit me that after a while, like, again, getting the feel that it wants to be kind of an energetic but monotonous sort of thing. But
like Dream On. The song that goes nowhere.
It goes
for
nowhere.
6 minutes, 5.5, 6 minutes, except for that scream where you're like,
oh, we're getting there.
Nope. All right, we're back.
But actually, another song that's like that is Ted Nugent's Stranglehold.
That riff is so badass, though.
I know it. And you just, like, I wish that song was twice as long. How long is it now? I mean,
it's 7.5, 8 minutes long.
Or 28. Like, you know what it is? It's as long as, like, if you jump in the car and that song's just starting, it's not, won't end until you get where you're going. At least it did when I was growing up, because I don't know, maybe I didn't drive riff, that far.
Like, what is that? Is that, it's like a dotted eighth or something like that. Like, it's just a weird off time. Like that funky little, yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the guitar riff. I was thinking about the chorusy bass riff underneath it.
Oh yeah, no, I don't listen to that.
But yeah, but that's one that that's going the whole time underneath, and that it's monotonous, but it's exciting and it's energetic. That was the kind of feel I was getting.
Because that does drive through the whole song, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Saw him play that live. I think it did go on for 28 minutes. I think he did. He was opening for Kiss,
Cat Scratch Fever, and then Stranglehold, and then next band.
Is it? Yeah, he opened with Cat Scratch Fever. He did Stranglehold, Great White Buffalo, and one other song, and then he was done.
Shot at some immigrants and left the stage.
Yeah, he swung from a vine with a raccoon tail on, and that was the show. And then Skid Row came on. Meh. Ooh.
Yeah.
All right. So. Anyway, to wrap that up, just the feeling, the reason I got into that line of thinking and passed that information on to him is because I was listening through, and, like, from the verse to the chorus, there really wasn't any change. It was just the exact same everything. Mm-hmm. So to make, you don't want to change it too much and make it real drastic, because I think that would break the feel of the song. But doing something to change it up for the chorus, because it's a good hook the guy's got.
Yeah.
Anthony's saying all this... Sight unseen, because I haven't played it for him yet. But
oh, you lost Reese. No, it's under your leg.
All right.
I can see it. It's orange.
Yeah, the brown one's completely gone between my sweatshirt and this couch.
Yep. We'll get that later.
Yeah. I'm not above eating Reese's Pieces I pulled out of the couch. Father of 4, don't you know? We were watching you guys eat lunch today, and my 4 of us from work went out to lunch. We bumped into Anth and his wife at Five Guys, and we said hi to them. Then we got up to the counter, and we're like, they have no idea. Like, remember when it was just you and your missus?
Yeah.
And you just go out all the time and eat stuff, and nobody would interrupt you or throw up on you or poop or anything.
No, we've got friends that are still in college. I don't.
And they were like, yeah, they have no idea what's coming. I was like, I don't know. They've been friends with me for a while. They've hung out at my house a good deal.
I think your kids have puked on me a couple times. I don't remember, but it's a good chance.
My wife has this, I think it's a Jon Stewart quote taped to the mirror in the bathroom. It says, having kids is like living in a frat house. There's a lot of throwing up and everything's broken. And that's pretty true.
Well, we don't own, so it's all right.
Just remember, kids, if you're not ready for that adventure, always wrap the bacon twice if need be. There you have it. Planned parenting advice from your favorite audio podcast.
What do you do if you're Jewish? You have no bacon to wrap. Bam! Brought it back.
Wrap the matzah. You didn't think I was going to get that. You thought you had me. I was totally getting out of that one.
No, I was just waiting.
Just be glad I didn't bring gefilte fish into it.
You're going to wrap your shit up in a jar and make it look all gray and swimmy. Go for it. I'm not into that.
All right. It was a family show.
Vocals.
So, yeah. I was thinking this week about all the stuff I've tracked, and mostly I don't want to leave the live guys out of it either. It seems like the order that guys learn stuff is you figure out how to make it work, and then it would seem like the next logical. I'm shouting because Anthony's leaving the room. I want him to be able to hear the idea that I'm spitting here. It seems like the next logical thing to do is learn how to EQ. And I really feel like, and don't get me wrong, this is the way I learned it. I learned how to plug stuff in and make it work, and then I thought, all right, I'll become a genius at EQing. And I did get pretty good at it, but what I should have done first was just learn how to get the mic in the right spot. And, I see young guys looking to get into live and studio, and they feel under pressure to learn all of these mics and what their properties are, and some of them even go so far as to like memorize the spec sheets for like, oh yeah, the polar pattern is such and so, and the sensitivity and the noise ratio and all that. Like, it's not really necessary. Like, better to learn by doing, I think, or at least learn by experience. Like, this mic is good for such and so. This mic works better on this if you set it up this way. And the very best way is just from doing it yourself. I mean, excuse me. Getting set up, and instead of figuring out like, oh, that guitar or that vocal, and since we're talking about vocals, why don't we make it vocals? Like, that sounds pretty good. I'll just EQ it, and that's how we'll make it good. When either selecting a different mic or moving the mic, I mean, that's really the biggest thing. Like, you can make the biggest changes, bigger changes even, towards making things right by moving the mic. And unfortunately, it's just not always possible. If you're on a festival stage with 7-minute changeovers, you throw a mic on there, if it's roughly near the guitar you were hoping to pick up, all right, good on you. And that's kind of where I'm still at this. I've been at this 20 years, and I have a pretty plush spot to work, but guitar players show up late to rehearsal. I throw 2 mics on that cab, and it's so I can blend and do stuff.
For the best.
I hope for the best, because there's not, the mix position is 180 feet the long way around. Like, right. I got to run across half of the venue, downstairs, and then halfway back across the venue, and then possibly backstage, depending on where the amps are set up, to move a microphone. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Lord Jesus, nobody got time for that.
Getting real sick of your
But part of the reason, and I'll be perfectly candid about this, part of the reason I use 2 mics is if I got to just throw them on there quick, usually at least one of them will sound okay. And if they both sound good, then great, I'll blend them. Or sometimes if one sounds good and one doesn't sound good, they'll still sound good together.
You can at least screw with one or the other to try and get something usable.
And actually, like, technically what you're doing, like, you could just as easily think about blending 2 mics together by pushing, faders back and forth is roughly similar. Like, what you're manipulating there is the phase interactions between the 2 of them, and you can't, unless you're going to add micro delay to one of them, change what those interactions are. Like, the same frequencies are going to interact, right, but how much they interact, you're controlling that. So you're, in a way, by blending 2 mics remotely, you're sort of moving them around with what you're doing. But yeah, I mean, like, for vocals, it's maybe not as big a deal. Although in a book that Anth and I just read, Mixing with Your Mind, which
buy it.
Highly recommended. I would say buy it because I want the dude that wrote it to make some bank because I want him to live comfortably.
I'm sure he's doing just fine.
Deserves to live comfortably, but at the same moment, I don't want anybody else to read this book. Like, if I owned it, I probably wouldn't loan it to you because that's some serious shit.
It really is. Like, there's just some like, and even with vocals, like, there have been a couple tracks that I've double mic'd vocals on because I'm really digging the way it sounds. And if I owned all the mics that I double mic'd with, I would do it all the time. But I don't own an RE22, or an RE27 rather. But I had, it just, there's a fatness, like, not even blending between the 2, but setting one of the mics to a different vocal processing sense. So taking, your whatever your large diaphragm condenser is on vocals and just sending that to another bus and putting reverb and delay on that, and then taking the other mic and sending that to maybe a little bit of a distortion or an overdrive or a tape delay, something like that. That it just makes the vocals sound huge, and then double tracking all that stuff too.
Yep. Well, and when the mics are really close together, I mean, you can obviously never get, like, even in, what was that? It starts with an L, a company that makes mics with two capsules in the same body.
Well, Lewitt does that.
Lewitt, yeah. Like,
that's one of the ones I've got.
Yep. Even those, like, the capsules are still far enough apart that at very high frequencies, there's still going to be some weird phasing going on. But, you know, if you strap an SM57 to the side of a U87, those aren't going to interact very much phase-wise, and you can do a lot of blending with those, and you're really just getting some pretty good tonal interactions. Like, you could use the 57 as a smash channel.
Well, that's actually what I've been doing with guitars the last couple of days. Is one of the mics that I've got is on loan. One of my buddies works at a studio that John's actually tracking, or we're both tracking out of California Road. They're sponsored by Lewitt microphones, and they let me borrow one to test drive and you know, write reviews on stuff. On guitars, I was driving through a JCM 800 and put a Lewitt Authentica 870 or 840 or something like that on one speaker, and then an SM57 on the other speaker, and lined them pretty close to where they should be, where the capsules were, and, you know, blew up the waveforms, and phase was as close as I could get it without, you know, like going at a mic to get it just a little bit closer or farther away.
Yeah, because you don't have to move a mic much to at the high frequencies to get them to get things to shift around.
You know what? Like the first time I put them both on there, I was like, that looks pretty close. Let's go and, you know, play through a chorus. I'm like, damn. That's perfect. Like, I didn't go back and fix anything. Just like, I just need to keep tracking. We're going to have to cancel this vocal session. The guitars sound really good right now. It sounded fantastic. Like, one of the first, I wish I would have gotten more stuff done with it, because there are very few times when you sit down, you throw mics in front of something, plug in a guitar, you're like, that's it. Right there. And then you do an entire record because you don't want to screw with it.
Is that why there's a 57 welded to the side of that?
To the side of that everything? Yeah.
Got out the MIG and just made it permanent.
You know what? As much as I've bashed 57s in the past, it's been coming through like a champ for me the last week. Like,
they're not the best mic in the world, but they're pretty good for just about anything you can think of.
They're consistent as hell, is what they are. Like, they're predictable. They're fantastic at what they do. They don't do a whole ton of stuff well. Like, in a heartbeat, I would almost always swap something else out. But in a pinch, and even with tracking right now, I'm doing it with this Lewitt large diaphragm condenser and a 57, and I am not at all concerned with how things sound. It's just, all the beef is there, all the definition's there. It's coming out sounding really good, and I'm fairly impressed every time that I play some more stuff and listen back to it. Like, wow, I don't have to add anything at all.
It's almost like doing a parallel compression thing, and they'll guys that do location sound will do this, where like you put a dynamic mic and a condenser mic on the same source, with each mic being insurance for the other one. So like the dynamic mic can take a ton of level, but it's not going to have super high fidelity. And so, you know, when things get very loud, you switch to the dynamic mic or blend more of it in. Mm-hmm. And when things are quiet, the condenser's obviously going to, you know, if it's a good one, have lower noise and pick up more sensitively, like get some of the finer detail. And in the middle ground, if you set it up right, they play real nice together.
It was almost the opposite. The 57, like looking at the waveforms, 57 was picking up more on the large diaphragm condenser. Like the waveforms were bigger. They're a little bit more spread out, a little bit more lengthy. Like when you blow it up to the point where you don't see waveforms anymore, there's just a little squiggly line.
There's dots.
There's no color in it anymore. You're looking at it, you're like, wow, there's a third more of what the 57 is picking up than what this large diaphragm condenser is. And I'm not, you know, I've got not a ton of nice large diaphragm condensers, but I've got a few. And the 57 just seems to be there. It might also be the fact that I'm running both of them through Neve 1073s. That probably helps.
A little bit.
A little bit. They've been sounding killer the last couple days. I tracked an entire song today, 2 guitars through the same amp, and It just, they're sounding great.
Is that amp also nailed to the floor?
No, that I have to actually put that back underneath the stage tomorrow for practice.
I do not envy you your place of business.
We got Benny Hinn
this week.
I'm sure he'll be back soon. I don't know. He shows up every once in a while.
Weird. Sorry, my condolences. Anyway. All right. Well, what else we got? I had some ideas. Oh, I was going to talk about mic positioning and not give away all the goodies because there is a non-disclosure agreement you sign.
Yeah.
When you read Mixing with Your Mind.
Something to do with your soul and eternal damnation and things.
Firstborn children and whatnot.
Yeah, I've got one of those now.
And I'm fairly attached to mine, so I'm not going to give away all the goodies, but learn a few nice tricks about positioning a mic near a vocalist, and that's you can't.
No joke. In the last 2 weeks, what I've done, because I've done a couple lead vocal tracks, but mostly background vocals, and with just moving the placement of the microphone, like my singers are pretty good. Like it's either my wife or one of two other people that are doing lead or background vocals on this project. And they all know how to sing. They know how to project. They know how to, Aretha Franklin a little bit off that sucker.
Stir the soup, as they say.
Right. Yeah, like there are some times when, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I can hear them moving from side to side on the microphone. That might just be me having issues, but I don't know.
Well, you do have dog ears, so I wouldn't be surprised if you could hear panning on a mono source. Wouldn't be the first odd thing that your ears have picked up. It's a curse. It's a blessing and a curse.
It's great for some stuff, but it's really kind of a pain in the ass some other times.
Some people have a golden ear. This guy sitting next to me has a platinum one.
I have my teeth cleaned, and apparently now instead of picking your teeth with like a scraper, they use a water pick.
I thought you were going to tell me you could hear the ultrasound wand.
Well,
when you went to the OB appointment, you could hear the ultrasound.
No, I couldn't hear the ultrasound. But we went. Brandon Capral, one of the other nice gentlemen that we have on our show fairly frequently, and hopefully back soon. His wife is a dentist, and because I don't have dental insurance, I go to her to work on my teeth and stuff. And she's graduated; she's a dentist now and everything. But the last time I'd had my teeth actually cleaned for regular cleaning, they use the Explorer tool and stuff, and they scrape all the plaque off your teeth or whatever every 6 months. Now they have a water pick, or something along those lines, where they spray water over your teeth at a super super high amount and all that stuff. And I was sitting there, and I looked at her. I was like, do you know by chance what that's oscillating at? She's like, I have no idea. I was like, it sounds like 25K. And I looked over at the thing, and it said 25K picks only. And I had a giant headache for about 3 hours. Spraying water at my teeth at 25K, or that was the oscillation of the whatever they were spraying on my teeth for half an hour and stuff. And
you can hear 25K.
It hurts.
I hate you.
It hurts.
Good grief.
In one ear better than the other. So like it's not like it's not like a level thing. Like my left ear will pick it up a little bit better. So like the left, it's not even hearing as much as kind of feeling my head shake a little bit on the inside.
Moving on. Freaking ears on this guy, I tell you. So anyway, mic placement. Not a lot you can do for vocal mic technique with your singers.
Yeah, if they don't have it, they don't have it.
They don't know how to work a mic, and that's not something. I mean, I don't know. I suppose you could just naturally have it, but it's something you got to learn. It's something you got to do a bunch. So rather than try and put that onto them, you got to try and figure out how to make the most of what they're doing. Pick your mic so that if they're going to wander all over the place, you're still going to be able to pick up what they do, or maybe give them a handheld mic if you can sort that out, or give them a handheld mic as a backup,
right?
Or
and shoot an RTA across the room at them just in case.
Pin a lav on them.
I've done that.
But Yeah, positioning relative to the vocalist's mouth wasn't ever something I gave a ton of thought to. And it could be something just as simple as, they have a tendency to incline their head a little bit or turn their head a little bit when they hit those big notes, and it pulls them just a little off the mic. Could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, but that's, I don't know, just the sort of things you need to pay attention to, like the way people interact and how you're going to set up to make the best of it.
It's Biggie Smalls.
On South Park here?
Oh, yeah. It's the Biggie Smalls episode. Instead of Bloody Mary, you shout Biggie Smalls in the mirror 3 times, and Biggie shows up and starts shooting his shit.
I'm going to go try that as soon as we're done.
Not up in here.
Think of the children. All right.
Yeah, it's like, especially like what I found is having a lead vocalist sit right on, driving right into the capsule has been fantastic. But I've started double tracking everything just cause, and blending in just a touch. But with background vocalists, you figure out which way their head is swinging, if it's up or down, and you compensate for that. But sometimes you compensate the other way. So maybe if you want more bass, you put it one way, or you want more high-end definition, you put it in another position. And after you get familiar with your vocalists, you just kind of start doing that. Almost every take, like I'll do, if a guy's doing a tenor part on something, I'll leave the mic one position, then like, all right, cool, we're going to double it and go back in and finagle the mic another way and get it, and then blend that together. And then, just pan it out just a touch so it sounds a little like it's definitely 2 vocal parts. He's, you can't be 100% on to the millisecond every time.
Why would you want to be? That's boring.
Yeah, it really is. Like, you just go and double a vocal and you pan it out. You're like, oh, great, I've got 2 of them. What's the point? But
it's work is what it is. I mean, sometimes you got to cheat and do it that way to get where you're going, but it's work trying to make a duplicate track sound like a double track.
Yeah, and I mean, there's stuff you can do. Like, you can go and, like Dave Pensado was talking about, you double the vocal track and then you put a short slapback delay at 20 milliseconds on you.
And then randomize that so it drifts. And
it works, but that's kind of a last-ditch. That's what you have to do to get there. Not if you're in the engineering process, you've got somebody in the room, you're like, hey, sing it again. That's all. It saves you another, few minutes of time, or, in the long run, if that's saving you a couple hours of having to do that on every vocal track, that's great.
If your vocalists are up to it, although if it took you 15... Flag that. All right. If it took you 15 takes and then you had to comp those together to get one good pass, you probably just want to duplicate that track and sort some stuff out later.
Right. Well, that's what I've found is that usually the last take, when they finally hit it, then they're totally game. They've got it at that point. And then after that, you're like, all right, you got it. Let's do it again. Do 3 more passes of it. And then every single one of those they nail, and you drop it on another track and fan it out. That's, I don't know, at least that's my experience the last couple of weeks or so, where I'll finally get somebody to where I want them and then make them keep tracking it again and again and again and again. Even if it's all exactly the same or pretty close to the same, I'll split that out and fan it out on panning different tracks out just so it sounds a little bit fatter.
There you go. I was thinking about background vocals when you mentioned those a couple of times. There's a couple of tricks that I've learned, and this applies for live mixing as well as studio work. If you have people who are not trying to be the star as backup singers, that they understand that their role and they're in a support role, they'll actually do a bunch of this stuff for you. They'll come in just a hair late so that they don't mess with the attack and the initial consonants of the lead singer's line. They'll finish a little early and let the lead singer finish the line.
Almost a natural bus compression.
And they'll mute the consonants. Like, they'll purposefully back off if it's live, they'll back off a mic a little bit. They will not articulate as clearly because they're meant to be more of a presence than a sharp vocal. I mean, unless that's what's really called for. But and if I don't have backup singers that understand that, or if they're guys that are primarily guitar players or something, like if their thing is to play an instrument and they're also out of necessity contributing some backup vocals, I'll help them out all I can by rolling some top end off, so that if because nothing will wreck anything more than having the final consonants of something not line up. Well, the consonants, period. Like if 3 people are singing a line, if 2 of them are backup singers, and you hear the word tonight. Yeah, if you hear the word tonight and it starts 3 times, you can gate the backup singers and roll that off so it opens a little bit later, so that you only hear one t, and then the other 2 gates open up and everybody's all together on the word tonight. And then I'll even ride a fader if it's live, if it's that important, like if we need really super present backup vocals but the consonants are getting in the way. In a DAW, I'll automate all that stuff. In a live situation, I'll throw all the backup singers on a sub or a VCA, and I'll ride them out. Yeah. Like, let them start the phrase, pull it out. Let them start the phrase, pull it out. If you go back, if you hunt down our mini podcasts, the one I did about, was it the mid-side thing? I forget. It wasn't the one where we did the one-man choir, but it was the one where we had, about a dozen gals singing as the Heavenly Choir in our Christmas thing.
I think it was a couple weeks before the mid-side.
Right. But anyway.
The one-man choir, rather.
What I had was a bunch of singers who were not necessarily all the greatest, but the effect of all 12 of them singing together was great, and then 3 passes of all 12 of them singing together was really great. But what I wound up doing was, comping it, and I would just cut things short so that... when they all finish the word, silent night with 36 voices,
Oh, yeah.
So, because that one was actually sung not to a click, but it wasn't that much work in a DAW to draw it all straight. And actually, when I mixed it live, I don't think I worried about it that much because it wasn't as hot in the mix.
I'm actually taking next Friday off to sort out all of that on 12 tracks.
So for which?
For one of my projects.
Oh, yeah. But that's all stuff to think about. A lot of people, I've seen it in the forums, like guys will complain, like, I just can't get my background vocals right. And, listening to it, it's like, oh, well, you're treating them all like lead vocals. Like they're all clear and crisp and upfront. And, you maybe don't want to leave dynamics in. Like you maybe want to
squash the piss out of those.
Not really smash them, but compress them more than you would. Like, we're not talking about, like, if it were distortion, like, don't go for the tube screamer, go for, like, the Zen drive.
It's the same thing. It's the same circuit.
What am I thinking? All right, so not the death metal not the death metal pedal, but the Zen, the tube screamer.
Yeah,
something like, it's instead of using a smash channel, using,
an almost smash channel, like running those things at 8 to 1 is not bad.
Yeah, maybe not even that much, but more than whatever you're using for your lead vocal. Go ahead and take the dynamics out.
If you're not sure of it, a lot of plug-in presets are great for that. Like, at least to get you started.
You're right, yeah, because they're not subtle.
Oh God, no. No, they're some of the Chris Lord Algae stuff is just offensive. Like some of his presets on the SSL stuff is actually offensive. Like I've tried,
and not like it's so pretty that I'm offended by it. It's like
what the what do you do? You do make platinum albums, you bastard. But yeah, there are definitely some things where you listen to it, you're like, that I don't know who engineered this, and then you put this plugin on it, but damn, you need to find somebody else to give you projects, son. Some of the stuff is just plain right offensive, but there are some other, good, the friggin' API plugins are, I can't find a thing wrong with them. But, go through your presets or whatever stuff you got. There's probably a preset for backing vocals, and start with that and work around and see, blend it. Once you get your lead vocal where you want it, that's kind of the key, especially if you've got, if it's not a choir sounding thing that you're looking for, but if you've got a lead vocal that's lead vocal and background vocals that are background vocals, start with a preset. If that's what needs to get you to where you're going, that's great. there's nothing wrong with it. They're in there for a reason. They actually do have people that sit there and screw with that kind of stuff. Finagle it into the way where it seems like it's working good, and then mess with some more and get it to where you're actually happy with it. But if you've got to start with a preset, that's not the worst thing in the world.
Well spoken. I was thinking about reverb while you were saying all that too, vocal reverb. Mm-hmm. And I've heard probably the I don't know, guys just go. I use such junky reverbs, and I aspire to one day, having something really nice like a Bricasti or even an Eventide, like just something nicer than what I've got.
The Lexicon stuff is great, man.
If it turns on.
The new stuff usually does.
Mine doesn't. Oh. But it's not always about, the definition and the tails. Like sometimes it's just about the resonance. And background vocals and even lead vocals. Like you don't always want a real distinct reverb, and band passing your audio before it goes to reverb.
The 80s are done, man.
Huh?
The 80s.
Dude, I do that all the time. I'm not talking about gated reverb.
Oh.
Well, although we could. But.
Let's not.
All right.
I don't need to curse more today. I'm good.
But, no, actually, Bobby O wrote a terrific article about it. Check out Bobby Ozinski's blog and look up reverb settings. I think he's probably more than one. A lot of guys make the mistake, just like I did, of, you put reverb on something and it just doesn't sound right. It's, it sounds bonky or boomy or weird or too harsh. And so you keep twisting EQ on it and you keep not getting there. And the problem is that you're EQing it at the wrong point. Like if you're bringing the EQ or bringing the reverb back in on a return channel and EQing it there, you miss the boat. Like where you really should touch it is on the sends. And, large format analog desks have parametric EQs on their aux sends. Some processors will let you EQ, like on my M1s, I've got an EQ there in line, like it runs through the first processor as a parametric EQ and then feeds serially into the second one, which is my reverb. And I'll high pass that thing at 500 or 600 and low pass it. It depends on the low pass depends. Like sometimes I'll roll that up if I do want, like if the room's really mushy and you can get away with some more air and some sibilance on there, I'll roll it up a little higher and let that continue through. But if you send pretty much just your mids to out to your reverb, then just the mids get processed, and you don't get an abundance of rattly highs.
You don't want reverb. Well, for the most part, especially live stuff, you don't want reverb down at 50, 60. It gets dirty and gross sounding, and then if you get it up too high, it's distracting for the rest of the mix.
Son of a.
Yeah, look who made a mess now.
Nope, we're good.
Oh, damn. So close to making a point.
All right, you remember where you were?
I was done.
Oh, all right.
Just waiting for you to not drop the Reese's Pieces all over the floor.
I can't be trusted.
We're out of ramen noodles, so we're on to Reese's Pieces now.
The life of an audio engineer. All right, so where were we? About
vocal
done,
reverb.
Maybe. Vocal reverb.
Vocal reverb, high passing and low passing stuff at different points, and
But that's another thing. Just high pass in general. High pass on a vocal channel. That'll save you a lot of EQ sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Some of the presets where they've got this huge bump and a bell curve at 100
on a vocal.
For what? For why?
For Barry White, maybe.
It's a soprano. What are you doing down there? You knock everything out below 300. You're still a little bit heavy on the low end.
Yeah. Although for sopranos, you can get away with boosting some more in the low end.
If they're lead sopranos, I guess. But for background sopranos and stuff, you don't really
cut that.
Yeah.
Forget about it. But yeah, I used to, with the Hoisingtons, actually, some friends of ours who, a couple of brothers who are vocalists who have a tendency, well, don't have a tendency. I mean, they have, if you're ever missing some 180 on your session, they have it. In fact,
we'd find out, we'd just chart out the input list and then get to their channels and just knock out 3 to 6.
Knock out all the 180. And then, in fact, local live engineers know the frequencies either side of 180 as the Hoisingtons.
Yep.
But yeah, I used to EQ and EQ and EQ, and then I finally got a console that had a high pass, or had a high pass on it, and I would roll that sucker up to about 200, and those guys started sounding lots better. And the low shelf on your Mackie is not doing the same thing. The difference.
Just turn it all the way to the right. Just do it.
But
it's a good start.
The difference is the shape of the curve. You know, like when you turn down a low shelf, you know, it starts to roll off at the corner frequency, but then after a while that curve will bottom out and become horizontal again. On a high pass, or low cut as it's often labeled on consoles, that curve starts descending at the cutoff frequency and just keeps descending.
At 1 dB? Huh.
So it'll give it to you, you know, in how many decibels per octave. So like 12 dB per octave or 18 dB per octave is pretty common. So that means that, like, depending on how it's set up, like right at the corner frequency, or like right at the shoulder of that curve, there's really not a lot happening. But you go an octave down, you're 18 dB down. Right. You go 2 octaves down, you're 36 dB down. And that just keeps going. Like the farther away you get from that corner frequency, the more
if you know where your problem frequency is, you swing a little bit up.
Yeah. Well, you do it by ear is what you do. Like
right.
You turn it up until it sounds right. Not if you're looking at the knob, you're doing it wrong. Like maybe look at the knob after to see what you did. Because that definitely helped me out a lot years ago when I stopped doing that in live engineering. Like, just put the fader where it needs to be. Don't look at it. Just put it where it needs to be. Mm-hmm. And then if you look here and go, wow, that's messed up, like, figure out what was wrong with your gain structure that caused that to have to be that way. So, like, maybe your fader can be closer to the, you know, air quotes right spot. But, they're doing another emergency broadcast system alert. Glad the sound's off. That would have been horrific. Mm-hmm. I wonder if we're required to do those. This has been a test of the emergency blogcasts podcast. Whatever.
Well, they do that in South Park. You know, everybody's just going to mute it. No one pays attention to that.
Whatever. What was I talking about? Where are we?
Last time we were on vocals.
We were talking about the roll off on filter. Oh, about just doing stuff by ear. Like I'll setting a compressor. It was about 10 years ago when I finally bought my first compressors. That was when, you know, I'd look at them and try and do it by the numbers, and I wasn't getting where I wanted to go, and I was reading stuff. When I finally got, so I just set it up. Like, you know, my fingers kind of knew where the knobs were, and I'd look at the stage, and I'd just be looking at the musician and listening. That was when I got a lot better at compression in a real hurry. Mm-hmm. And then after a while, I'd turn over to look at the rack in the middle of the first set. You're like, wow, that's interesting. To see, you know, how much it was doing something or how little. Mm-hmm. And, you know, if it sounds fine, sounds fine. Don't worry about how many lights are on.
That's one of the best things about live is that it's done when you're done.
Yeah, so I got that going for me.
That's a couple of the kids that I've been working with that are, you know, younger, coming up in like the kids' church or the whatever. I've had to tell them, like, but you know, all this stuff's going wrong. I'm like, listen, when it's done, it's done. No one's recording this. No one's going to complain about it for more than a week, if that. They're probably just happy that it turns on. So you get stuff close, you get where you think it's sounding good, that's great. Then next week you got more time to work on it and get it better. Yep.
That is one of the things, and audio is just such a wide category of work to get into. Like live guys, a lot of live guys try to record and they're really not any good at it. And a lot of recording guys won't even attempt mixing live. Like, I don't know, it's just studio cats are smarter. Like, so we're both sort of odd ducks in that we do both. But yeah, like I've heard a lot of studio cats, like guys that are really good that I respect, say like, oh man, I can't even think about mixing live. It just gives me the shakes, which, you know, when you think about it, handling 2 or 3 or, you know, maybe even 4 dozen inputs on a packed console.
Yep.
And getting all of those in the right spot where they need to be at once, like that's a lot. And live guys look at studio guys, but like, you listen to that shit how many times? I get to listen to that once and go home.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me why I don't.
Don't what?
Don't do studios.
Isn't that about all you do lately?
Yeah, no, I didn't mean me. I just meant in that context.
Oh, like that, yeah.
A live guy saying, like, thanks for reminding me why I don't work in the studio.
Yeah, I'm definitely, I mean, I've been pushed to get more into that stuff in my line of work in my current job. But yeah, I told them at my interview, they asked me, we're thinking about making records. What do you think about that? I'm like, it's a completely different head. I'll be honest with you. It's like, I can do it some. And, if you need me to do it, I can do it. But I know guys personally who are better than me, and I've got their numbers. I can get them to come over. I'll practice real hard. But really, at the end of the day, I work in the studio like I'm a live guy. Like I'm relying on not so much planning. I mean, because we're all Boy Scouts. Like we try to be prepared, and belt and suspenders, have everything covered 8 ways from Sunday. But where a lot of studio guys will try and plan and map out, and this is precisely where the microphone should be placed in order to capture the most tone molecules. That kind of stuff. And I'm like, throw a mic out there, see what you get. Throw it somewhere else. Like, or if something weird happens, like serendipity. And, which is not to say that studio guys don't do that. Like, there's just endless examples of happy accidents that turned into great moments on records. Or
was it a Bobby O thing where was somebody else where like, all right, he spent like 2 hours getting the mics in front of the right place, in front of the speakers.
I heard it was on the Audio Nowcast.
Something like that. And the guy's like, yeah, that sounds really good. And he walked out in the live room, just kicked the microphone. He's like, all right, and just throw it somewhere.
This is rock and roll, son. But yeah, relying, like, I'm definitely much more interested in, like, okay, like, it's cool to be able to set up, like, measure your drum overheads to the 64th of an inch and get the micrometers out and place thing and then zoom in on the waveform and check phase. But, does
it sound good?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, and if it does, super. But I don't know. I like the challenge of just doing stuff fast and seeing what it sounds like and then fix it up and see if you can make it sound better. And
right.
Yeah. That's why I'm a live guy, and I do studio work like I'm a live guy, which probably gives some people in my life a headache. All right, well, jolly good. That's a whole hour. That flew by.
Oh, wow.
And it's not even that late yet, so excellent deal for us and for you.
Yeah.
So, as always, we hope that was educational. We hope that was useful. Guys out there listening, and ladies, of course, we would... Excuse me. I'm getting dried out. We would love your input, your thoughts, even if it's just hey, we're out here listening. That's super to hear. Keeps us motivated to press on doing this week after week. No, it doesn't. We're going to do this no matter what. We don't care if nobody listens, honestly. Helps us get some thoughts rolling between us. I almost always learn stuff sitting across from Anthony, despite the fact that he's half my age.
I need to learn some stuff.
I learn stuff from you all the time.
Yeah, it's BS. I make it up.
That's the business we're in, though. We could do a whole lesson on that. But anyway, if you've got questions, if there's something we've covered that you would like covered more in depth, let us know. If there's something we haven't covered, which at this point, I don't know if there's any stone left unturned. We're kind of turning over some of the first stones again.
Yeah.
But it's also been a year since we've covered a lot of these topics, and we've been forced to think on our feet and also sit down in our, air quotes, spare time and do some research and learn some more stuff. So
I'm still editing drums while we're doing this.
Yeah, of course. It's a never-ending hamster wheel of a job. But, so all that, yada, 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 the usual thing. Find us on Facebook and Twitter, where we occasionally post links back to the blog and really not much else. But, hey, if people show up there and have questions for us, we are your audio hotline. And we're pretty much always awake, unless you're in Australia. Even our European brethren of the Knob and Fader don't have that much trouble getting a hold of us. So yeah, if you're a little nervous about going to the forums, I mean, we might talk about. I was going to say we'll probably talk about you. If you ask us audio questions, it'll come out, but certainly not in a mocking way. It's all about education, and if your question, we'll get your response, and maybe we'll pass that answer on to everybody else by way of the blog and the podcast. And I'm doing my usual wrap-up rambling thing, so let me just wrap up by saying if you are a listener and have stumbled onto us and you are not yet a reader, please do be navigating to smart2noise.blogspot.com. That's where our audio blog is. We post to it some. We actually posted damn near every day for about the first 6 months we were on the had that thing up, and then
we got nothing left.
Yeah, and then we rolled it down to 5 days a week, and now we actually, in the last month, we had 2 weeks where we did a week-long theme, which, by the way, if you could think of a good topic where we could squeak out a week's worth of themes, of themed posts, that would be super, because trying to come up with oneers is pretty much weighing us down, and we're pretty busy, so it's not like we have a ton of time to sit around and think about stuff to write about.
Yeah.
So your input really does help us a lot. We thrive on it. We're glad to know you're out there. We're glad to know you're reading and listening, and even if it's not doing you any good, we're just glad you're there. Thanks for coming in today, as the union guys say.
I wish we got paid like union guys.
Get me started. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time. See you next week if you're lucky.
Have a good night, guys.